Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
Good morning, Branch 32, and good morning, Naps family, wherever you are listening. Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast, presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. I am your host, Robert Wakefield, the president of Branch 32. That's right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Got a great show lined up for you, and we're going to get started on that here right after this message from the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. And go ahead and pour that first cup. Get ready for the Nashville Post Office Credit Union's 101st annual meeting on March 27th. We're giving away 200 meal tickets for a free food truck lunch, courtesy of NPOCU. So be sure to grab yours while supplies last. This year's event is a relaxed come-and-go gathering at the Credit Union from 11 to 2. So stop in, enjoy great food, connect with friends, and pick up a chance for some door prizes. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union. People helping people since 1925. And for our first cup this morning, I want you to grab that cup of Joe, settle in, and let's ease into something that every EAS employee deserves to understand clearly. And understand it clearly, not in a stressful moment or when emotions are high, but right here on a calm Saturday morning with that cup of Joe steaming hot right there in front of you. Today, I'm going to start a series on the ELM 651, and we're going to begin with the section that sets the tone for everything that follows, and that's ELM 651.3, and that's the non-disciplinary corrective actions. This is the part of the ELM that explains what real performance coaching is supposed to look like in the Postal Service. And when you hear the exact language, you'll notice something right away. It's not threatening. It's not punitive. And it's not meant to make you afraid. So let's look at it together. Here's the reference I'm talking about. The ELM 651.3, and it says non-disciplinary corrective measures. Accountable managers/supervisors are responsible for the direct day-to-day performance management of subordinates. The accountable manager/supervisor monitors subordinates' performance and provides appropriate resources, coaching, and feedback to subordinates. The manager or supervisor is responsible for leading the employee to a higher level of achievement. Performance improvement should be a shared concern, an effort between manager and employee. Early dialogue and guidance are critical to achieving positive results and continuance of an effective manager-employee relationship. All right, now here's the part where you take a nice drink of that coffee, and we're going to unpack it. Because this is not just policy language, this is a philosophy. It's a blueprint for how leadership is supposed to look in the Postal Service. So the very first sentence of this whole thing sets the tone. It says, accountable managers and supervisors are responsible for the direct day-to-day performance management of subordinates. That's not about punishment. That's not about discipline. That's about leadership. It means a manager's job isn't just to sit back and wait for something to go wrong. Their job is to be present, engaged, and aware of what's happening in their operation every day. And then the ELM continues. It says the accountable manager or supervisor monitors subordinates' performance and provides appropriate resources, coaching, and feedback. Now, that's the heart of non-disciplinary corrective measures. It's resources, it's coaching, it's feedback. It's not fear, It's not threats, and it's not surprises. And 651.3 is telling managers, your job is to help your people succeed. So what does 651.3 say about the employee? The next line is one of the most important lines of the entire section. It says the manager supervisor is responsible for leading the employee to a higher level of achievement. Did you catch that powerful phrase? Leading the employee to a higher level of achievement? That's not pushing. It's not punishing. It's not intimidating. It's leading. This is the Postal Service saying that improvement is a journey, and the manager is supposed to walk that journey with the employee, not stand at the finish line and shout instructions. And then the ELM goes on to say its performance improvement should be a shared concern and an effort between manager and employee. This is where 651.3 becomes a partnership. It's not you fix this, you figure it out, you're on your own. No. It's shared. The manager brings coaching and resources and leadership, and the employee brings effort and openness and a willingness to improve. And when both sides show up on this, improvement happens. When only one side shows up, frustration happens. And 651.3 is designed to prevent that frustration. Now, the last part of this section says this: early dialogue and guidance are critical to achieving positive results and the continuance of an effective manager-employee relationship. Now, this is the ELM, and it's telling managers, don't wait. Don't let issues build up. Don't surprise people, and don't let communication break down. It's talking about early dialogue prevents escalation. It also builds trust, and it keeps small issues from becoming big ones. And early dialogue is the opposite of discipline. It's conversation, it's clarity, it's coaching. And that's what this whole non-disciplinary corrective measures are supposed to be. So let's bring it to the real world in a kind of a ridiculous kind of an example. So let's bring it into the real world. A proper 651.3 conversation sounds like this. Hey, I've noticed a few things in the operation this week. Let's talk through it and see what's going on and see what kind of support you need. Or how about this one? I want to get you the help to get you to the next level. Let's look at what's working and what we can improve together. Or how about this? Let's sit down and map out a plan. I'm here to help you succeed. That is what 653 in action looks like. It's calm, supportive, and collaborative. So even though we're not comparing it to discipline today, it's worth saying this plainly. Nothing in 651.3 sounds like punishment. Nothing in 651.3 sounds like a threat. Nothing in 651.3 sounds like a manager standing over an employee with a clipboard waiting for them to fail. But here's what it's about. It's about coaching. It's about communication. It's about shared responsibility, early dialogue, and how important that is. It's about improvement. It's about leadership. And if a conversation doesn't feel like that, then 651.3 is not being used in the way the ELM describes it. Now, when EAS employees understand the exact language of 651.3, something important happens. Fear goes down. Clarity goes up. Confidence returns and communication improves. And even relationships strengthen. And that's the whole point of this series that we're starting today. Because when you know what the ELM actually says, not someone who tells you what it says, you walk into every conversation with a little more peace, a little more confidence, and a lot more understanding. So, as I wrap up the first cup here, here's the heart of it. ELM 651.3 is about leadership, partnership, and improvement. It's not disciplinary, it's supportive. It's built on early dialogue and shared responsibility. And it's designed to help employees reach a higher level of achievement together. Now listen, this is the Postal Service's own language. That's the intent. That's the standard. And that's what's amazing about this is when you go to ELM 650, which deals with all disciplinary programs as far as EAS is concerned, the first part of 650 is the scope. The next part is about representation. But then the next part is about this non-disciplinary corrective action. So this is the Postal Service's own words. Now, I hope that you've enjoyed this first cup. And what we're going to do in the next episode, we're going to explore the rest of 651 and we're going to build on this foundation of coaching and shared improvement. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for the first cup. Let's go ahead and pour that second cup. Some places call you a customer. We call you family. At the Nashville Post Office Credit Union, membership means belonging. Belonging to a community that supports you, celebrates you, and works for your financial success. If you're a postal employee or family member, you're already eligible to join. Step into a credit union with deep roots and a big heart. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for our second cup today, if you look at your calendar, today is the last day of February. Wow. Where's this year going? It'll be peak before you know it at this rate. Oh, my goodness. And we're not looking forward to that, right? But in March, we're going to be going to the Legislative Training Seminar. And it's about the middle of the month. We'll be heading to Washington to speak to our congressmen and senators about issues that are concerns of NAPS and also the Postal Service. So hope to see many of you there. I'm planning on taking my podcast equipment with me if I can work that out. And we're going to do some podcasts from the actual seminar, which I think would be kind of cool. So if you run into me and want to be on the podcast, let me know. And we'll see if we can get you on there. So that's my plans anyway. And but that's coming up. We're taking two first-timers with us from Branch 32, Antoinette Lewis and Bradley Neft will be going with us on this particular LTS, and it'll be their first time to experience that. So I'm always excited to see first-timers get a chance to get an experience like this because it truly is a really neat experience. So. And that's going to do it for today's Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. Thank you so much for listening. Now listen, I really need your help here. I really need your help. Let me tell you why. Last week, we had 14 listeners nationwide. 14. That's not a lot. So I need your help. I need you to share this with your EAS friends. I need you to share this with your NAPS branch. And let's make this podcast bigger than 14 people. And to those 14 people that listen, thank you. I really do appreciate that. Just want to make this channel, make this podcast grow even more than that. So, thanks again for listening. And remember, every great weekend starts with a great cup of Joe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupOfJoe@gmail.com.